Hey, thanks for taking the time to listen to The Kramer Show on kramershow.net. The show is coming up. At the beginning of each show, as in right now, this will be one of the only available times during the show to advertise. It'll be the first thing heard on each show, so you get maximum and guaranteed listens right from the get-go. If you have a product or service that needs some attention, contact us and set something up. First come, first serve. Hit contact on kramershow.net and reach out to us about getting your ad right here on the podcast. All right, now let's start the show.
In a world where podcasts are a dime a dozen, sometimes a voice cuts through the clutter. The best of the best come out on top. Welcome to kramershow.net, home of the Kramer Show. No rules, no bosses, no limitations, and no pants. Dude, you're gonna need to cover that up. Is that a bullet wound? This is The Kramer Show, and this is kramershow.net.
All right, can we get on with the show? Finally, my God. Welcome into the Kramer Show. You have no idea. I got fired from my radio job 2 weeks ago. And since then, my producer, Boz, and I have been creatively coming up with what you're seeing and what you're hearing. And it has been a labor of love, but he is so patient, I am not. And if it were up to me, then the show would have been on the next day, but it would have been some broke down piece of clunker garbage of a show and presentation. But thank you to Boz for getting all this together. And by the way, I am so fat. I mean, I've been living in Illinois for the past 5.5 years, and I didn't realize how out of control, fat, nasty, and greasy I am. My God, that video, if you're hearing this on iTunes or some other medium, you should go to kramershow.net or to patreon.com and see this video that we made. The video is unbelievable. Boz, you did an awesome job on that, man. I mean, it looks fantastic. I didn't give you a lot to work with. I mean, seriously. I mean, like when I'm walking into the cigar shop and you look at the back of me, my neck looks like a cheeseburger, like a big, fat, nasty, greasy, fried, dyed, laid to the side, stinky, sweaty cheeseburger. And then I'm sitting on the couch and my face is all just, I mean, my face looks like an ass. I don't want my face to look like an ass, but it looks like a big, fat, wobbly, smelly ass. My God, I'm just a big, gigantic turd ball. You know, I mean, I got fired from my job, and that's a self-esteem, killer. But then you look at yourself on video when you're trying to present something like a great show, and to tell corporate radio to go screw themselves, and then you got some big, fat, sweaty, slobbily little gigantic ass face on your screen. My apologies for my big, fat, sweaty ass face. I mean, I don't even want. Can we take it off the screen? I don't even want to look at it. I'm going to look the other way. All right. Okay. For those of you who have no idea who I am, and most of you do not, I am big, fat, sweaty ass face. My name is Kramer, and I've been up and down the road and up and down the dial on radio for years, and I came to Springfield about 5.5 years ago, and about 2 weeks ago, I got fired from my talk show here. And since then, as I said, Boz, the new producer of the show, and I have been putting this thing together. And he convinced me that what we need to do is to go to Patreon and use Patreon as a means to say to people, look, here's what I do. I do a radio show. It's professionally done, and I'm tired of the corporate rat race. I'm tired of suits telling me how to do my job. I'm tired of salespeople that get hired into management positions at radio stations trying to tell some guy what he is and is not supposed to talk about. This is internet. I can say what I want. I can do what I want. Not that I'm going to get on here and talk about titties and beer every 30 seconds, but because that's not, being able to say the F-bomb and all that, that's fine. But I don't have to have someone looking over my shoulder telling me that my stance on illegal immigration is right, yet my stance on the president is wrong. That has happened. I hate talking about myself in that I have so many other things that I want to talk about on the show, but they're telling me that I really should introduce myself and tell you more about me. And I'm very much an open book. I don't mind sharing every facet of my life. I don't mind that at all. I'll tell you, it kind of makes me feel a little uncomfortable to sit around talking about myself. But for the sake of the show and getting you kind of used to me for a little bit, I will talk a little about my career, myself, and my family, and all that kind of good stuff. And if I bore you, my deepest apologies. Later in the show, we're going to be talking about the riots, the looting, and stuff like that that's going on in Ferguson. So I will get to that. I'll try to give you the cliff notes. All right, I'm not gonna. I will give you a brief background of big, sweaty, smelly ass face, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show if that's okay with you. Okay. Throw me some hold music while I get a sip of my cream soda. I have A&W cream soda, and I must get some. Hey, boss, throw in some hold music. Hold briefly. Cream soda is so good. It's could have something to do though with my being a big, fat, sweaty, greasy ass face. Could be a contributing factor. My God, I'm fat. All right, welcome in. You're listening to The Kramer Show on kramershow.net. Kramershow.com, I think, was taken, so we went with .net. Keep that in mind. And if you like what you hear today, please, for the love of God, help me support my family, or we'll be homeless living in a Malibu in the next month. And I'm really enjoying the podcast stuff, and I hope you guys really get into it. And if you are listening on iTunes, go to kramershow.net, click the Patreon button, and go to help support us long term. You have no idea how much that would mean to me to be able to do this show the way I feel it needs to be done and make money from it enough to support life. That is the goal. And it really is. I was talking to someone the other day, Twitch, who was my old radio partner. He and I were having a conversation yesterday, and he and I, inevitably, when we talk, we'll start reminiscing about our past career together. And we have different general managers over our time together that we'll talk about. And there have been so many times where general managers who are business people get involved in the programming of radio stations. You have no idea the rat race and the political nature of talk radio. It is, I don't care what you do for a living, you don't know jack about politics until you get into radio. It's all it is. It's all politics. I mean, we were on the air in Orlando one time, and And by the way, I will talk about Ferguson and all that in a little bit. And this has nothing to do with Ferguson, but we were in Orlando on the air one morning doing our morning show. And we were talking about a story where there was a black guy who, in the middle of the night, got pulled over. The cop walked up to his car. The man got out of the car and ran. So the cops start chasing the guy. The guy runs into a house, is in the window of an old woman's house, and he's crawling into the window. He looks back, puts his hand in his pants like he's about to pull a weapon. The officer fires, killing the man. And so we went on the air, and I said, well, first of all, don't run from the police. Second of all, at night when nobody can really see, it's probably not a good idea to break into someone's house and to put your hand in your pants like you're going to pull a gun. Well, 5 minutes later, the door of the control room slams open, and our general manager, who was a black guy, pointed to the microphone as if to say, turn this microphone on. And he goes, do you guys, you guys are white. You don't know what it's like to DWB. And I go, DWB? He goes, yeah, driving while black. And then after that show, we had to have this long conversation in his office about how we were wrong for saying that people should not run from the police. And I thought, well, now I've heard it all. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with. The maximum that of grief that I would have to deal with having that opinion about that particular story on this show on the internet is probably someone would get pissed off and write a Facebook comment. Oh, no. What would I do if someone had a negative comment and disagreed with me on Facebook? And by the way, I don't mind if people disagree with my position, but I don't think that it's right for someone who is the general manager of a radio station to tell people that their opinions are wrong. And that's just another benefit of doing this show and doing it on the internet. It's so refreshing. It's so friggin' refreshing. And two, after all the miles that I have lived through doing radio, this vagabond lifestyle of traveling and okay, I'll break it down for you. I started out in different smaller cities in Alabama. That's where I'm from. I eventually went to Huntsville, which is in North Alabama. Went from there to Tampa, from there to Dallas, from there to San Francisco, California, from there back to Dallas, from Dallas to Detroit, from Detroit to Orlando, Florida, from Orlando to Birmingham, from Birmingham to Little Rock, Arkansas, from Little Rock to St. Louis, from St. Louis to here in central Illinois, the armpit of America. Think about how many miles that is. Think about moving that often. My son is 10 years old. We've moved, Orlando, Birmingham, Little Rock, 4 times only in his 10 years of existence, and we've been here for 5.5 years, folks. I mean, come on. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and I'm tired. I think it would be fantastic, regardless of whether I work at another radio station, which I'm talking to radio stations, because, I mean, I kind of have to. I have to, that's what I do for a living, and I'm talking to some other radio stations about working for them in different markets. Chicago is one. Rochester, New York, I'm talking to a radio station there. Who knows? But I can tell you that I didn't really know a lot about podcasting until Boz, the producer, and I had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, right after I got fired, and he was showing me and telling me and kind of pushing me into this culture, and I didn't realize how vast it is. It's amazing. I will say, and please don't take this the wrong way, I will say that there are a lot of amateuristic podcasts out there. There are some great ones. I mean, God, you take someone like Adam Carolla, who is having amazing success, and there are other people. Joe Rogan having great success, and I'm a fan of Joe Rogan. Some of those guys are doing really, really well, but there are thousands of shows out there that, bless their hearts, but they're trying. And that's the cool thing, is that anybody can, pick up and do a podcast. So anyway, that's my I have a radio background, not a podcast background, and I'm trying to fuse those two. And if you're listening to this on iTunes or through Google, through Stitcher, wherever the hell, go to kramershow.net and help the show thrive by clicking on the Patreon link. Now, I do want to tell you, recently with Robin Williams killing himself, 6 years ago, I had, for years, I was in clubs and stuff with radio stations and went out and partied all the time and drank like a fish. Even when I was in Dallas, I worked at the Eagle in Dallas, which was a rock station. And I drank myself friggin' silly. Pantera, the rock band Pantera, was a friend of ours, and we used to go down to Vinny's club and sit and drink like you cannot even imagine. Over time, I became an alcoholic, and when I got fired in St. Louis, 8 years ago, nearly 8 years ago, I crashed. I bottomed out. I was so tired of radio. I had no motivation, no self-esteem, and I was just at a really, really bad place. Sat in my basement, drank for about 2 weeks nonstop, and I'm talking rarely eating, put myself into the hospital twice. The second time, for whatever reason, I was laying in the I'll never forget, I was laying in the hospital bed, and I said, look, you got a kid, you got a family, they've stuck by you through thick and thin, and you are not paying them back for sticking with you at your worst. You have to quit. And that for whatever reason, whatever happened with me, that scared me into getting my life straight and getting my head straight. Not everybody has that moment. Or if they do, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be good for a while and then go right back to that really low point. But I don't have any sympathy for someone like Robin Williams who commits suicide. That is, no matter what's going on with you, no matter what, and Robin Williams even said this at one point, no matter what's going on with you, you have to find hope. There has to be some kind of hope. I still cannot get over the fact that Robin Williams is not on our planet anymore. It baffles me.
We've learned that Robin Williams, a treasure to millions, has died.
My name is Mork. I knew.
What would you like?
World peace, an end to poverty, and a date with Annette Funicello.
You can also imagine maybe John Wayne as Macbeth going, well, is this a dagger I see before me?
She used to fart in her sleep. One night it was so loud it woke the dog up.
Good morning, Vietnam! Hey, this is not a test. This is rock and roll.
We mourn the loss of our friend Robin Williams, who always made us laugh and smile.
Men who sleep with chickens and the women who love them. And it's weird, in California this summer, all the state parks caught on fire, which was sad because these parks are full of weed. It's bad news. You know the difference between a tornado and divorce in the South? Nothing. Someone's losing a trailer, number one.
Whenever you went to interview him, you just kind of put your seatbelt on and you held on for dear life.
You have a heart surgery and literally they open you up, they crack the box. And you get really vulnerable. You'll be like, a kitten. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, it's not even, it's a kitten. No way. And you get very, very emotional about everything. But I think that's in a way a wonderful thing. It really opens you up to everything.
Robin Williams is dead at 63.
You know, this may be a good chance for me to bring up my Facebook page, which is Kramer Radio, KramerRadio, because if you've lived through depression, if you've lived through an attempted suicide, maybe you can change my mind on this. I don't know. If you go and make comments on my Facebook or through email or online in any way, I will read them, and I'll talk about them on the next show. Here's what I wrote after Robin Williams died. Robin Williams is dead at the age of 63. We all have our Robin Williams memories. For me, my first memories are Mork and Mindy. When I'd get home from school, Mork and Mindy reruns would be playing, and that was my first run-in with Robin and, of course, the late, great Jonathan Winters. Both incredible. Later in high school, I began to get into stand-up, and Live at the Met had me and my buddies repeating everything from that routine. And then throughout life, movie after movie, comic relief, interviews, Robin Williams was everywhere. And no matter where he went, he seemed endearing and someone you not only rooted for, but believed in. He was a good guy until now. See, when someone kills themselves, it doesn't make me sad. It makes me mad. I'm sad that he couldn't get the help he needed. I'm sad that other people around him couldn't help him get the help he needed. I'm sad that he's gone. I'm sad that he was suffering from depression and substance abuse. I'm not sad that he killed himself. That's on him. Easy way out. If you break your arm, you go to the hospital. If you have cancer, you go to the hospital. If you have depression, you just live with it and hope it gets better? No. If you're depressed and you're thinking about suicide, get the fuck to a professional. I say, if you're depressed and you hang yourself with an extension cord, we don't even mourn your death. We throw you in a box and put you in the ground. The end. No words, no songs, no long speeches. You're dead. You took the easy route. You wanted off the planet, so now you're off the planet. Goodbye. A celebration of death should be set aside for those who actually stand tall and do everything they can to make it across the finish line. If you go through all the bumps and bruises of life and die crossing that finish line, you deserve for people to be sad, look back on your life, and talk about your accomplishments. If you're a raging pussy who didn't help himself, who wanted drugs or booze more, then you don't deserve that. So as I read that back, I'm thinking, not only am I a big, fat, disgusting turd face, but I come across as being insensitive. And I guess that's okay. But it does make me mad when someone takes themselves out, especially when they know that they have a substance abuse problem and they continue to drink or, use drugs, whatever it is that they're doing. I just think that if you're that, and I've been there. I mean, I have been at rock bottom and continue to drink. I've been there a lot of times. It is not a great place. It is a miserable, dark, hopeless feeling. I understand that. But why are there, see, when someone like Robin Williams does this, it's almost, I feel like it's almost validating suicide to people that are weak, that have been thinking about it. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying, I think that, let's say that you're, I don't know, in bumfuck America, and your life sucks, you have clinical depression, and you're drinking or you're on drugs, and you see that Robin Williams, this great man, this incredible actor, this incredibly charismatic and funny guy who was one of the most creative and legitimate actors and comedians of the past 100 years. He's in the top 10, arguably in the top 5 ever. And you see that not even he could get through it, and he wound up killing himself. It's in other words, I get the impression that when something like this happens with someone like that, it almost glorifies suicide, and people treat them as if they were the victim or something. But if you think about it, Robin Williams was not a victim. He was depressed. So what did he do? He drank. He was an alcoholic who got depressed and drank. And just as a side question, How can you be Robin Williams and be broke? Well, he was married, and he had 3 wives and stuff. So, I mean, those women, they'll suck that money right out of you. Oh, no, trust me. I get that. Those women will suck the money right out of you. I understand. I get it. But how much money can 3 women suck out of you? It's a big, terrible, terrible mess. And of course, after what I wrote, I got some stinging responses on Facebook. All right, so the Facebook is Kramer Radio, KramerRadio, and you can also follow on Twitter, like the show on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. Twitter, it's Kramer Radio too. All right, KramerRadio, and thank you so much for listening. This is the first podcast on KramerShow.net. And please, I beg you, go and sign up to donate money to the effort on Patreon. That will mean more than you know. Thank you so much. Be back in a sec.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Kramer Show. We really appreciate you listening. Whether you agree or disagree with Kramer, you have to admit, he knows what he's doing. We need to keep up the fight against corporate radio, and you can help us do that by clicking the Patreon button on KramerShow.net. You can pledge different amounts monthly to keep The Kramer Show going. We need your help to tell the suits to go screw themselves. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. Thanks for listening to The Kramer Show on KramerShow.net.
There are even computers that play electronic games.
Hey, it's Shuba from Kramer's Gamers, and you're listening to The Kramer Show on KramerShow.net. I want to tell you a little bit about Kramer's Gamers. First off, what is Kramer's Gamers? Why, it's a show about video games, and it's going to be right here on KramerShow.net very soon. The hosts are Kramer, Doc Noise, and me, Shuba, but don't let that change your mind about listening. One thing that makes this show different than anything else out there is that we're just normal guys just like you. We all have wives or husbands. We have kids and the responsibilities of life that go along with all that. The thing that makes this show work is that we all share a common love for video games and the culture that surrounds it. In any given show, we may talk about the newest games or newest systems that are coming out. We may drop back and talk about the arcade games of the 80s that we used to play when we were teens. We'll give you gaming news, gaming reviews, and everything in between. We're going to have some interviews. Hey, ask us about the interview we had with Adam Sessler one time. That's a story that needs to be heard. We like to talk about video games from our generation's perspective, how our gaming habits have changed, and how our kids played games differently than us. Were you aware that the average age of the gamer is now 35 years old? It's not just a kid's game anymore. So whatever your age, if you're a gamer, you're going to like Kramer's Gamers. We've been doing the show for a really long time, but the first one on KramerShow.net will be up very soon. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Kramer's Gamers. We look forward to talking to you on the show, on the boards, everywhere. Until we speak again, Shuba is out. Game over.
Game over, man. Game over.
Kramer, the king of content. If it's worth talking about, he's talking about it. This is The Kramer Show on KramerShow.net.
Do I perform sometimes in a manic style? Yes. Am I manic all the time? No. Do I get sad? Oh, yeah. Does it hit me hard? Oh, yeah. Do you find a way, but does that immediately make me like, oh, good. Thanks, Terry, nice talking with you. Oh, I don't know, Terry, I don't know. I don't get, oh, I'm okay. Give me that, can I borrow that? Oh, I'm all right, thanks for asking that, Terry, because, yeah, I get depressed. I get depressed that I wasn't on American Idol. I could sing.
So no clinical depression is what I'm taking away from
No clinical depression, no. Am I, no, I get bummed like I think a lot of us do at certain times. You look at the world and go, whoa. And then other moments you look and go, oh, things are okay.
All right, that was Robin Williams talking about his depression, saying that he was not suffering from clinical depression. From my Facebook, about what I wrote and read earlier to you, it says, well said, Keith, but as one that has been diagnosed with depression and living with family members with depression, there is a stigma that society puts on mental illness, and that prevents many people from seeking help. For many years, mental illness has been a non-accepting disease. Unlike a broken arm that a medical doctor can fix by seeing an x-ray where the arm needs to be set, mental illness is an invisible disease that only the person living with it knows. Those around that person may recognize it, but they may not. My ex-wife didn't understand depression. She was like many others who never experienced it. She said to just get over it and put it out of your mind and so on. It isn't that easy, and some people hurt so bad inside their own heads, they see the only relief they feel appropriate, and that is to end it all. It's sad, but it's life and death. Well, I mean, from coming from someone who has been at rock bottom more than one time, luckily there was always in the back of my head, there was always something that was telling me, you are way too good to kill yourself. And, you know, maybe that's just a huge ego on my part or something, but I don't know. I mean, and I'm not even really trying to be funny. I just think that there are some people who get to that level, and there's no talking themselves out of it. They look around their lives and they feel that there is nothing that they have to live for. And if you feel that you have nothing to give to the world, how can you look at your family life, and how can you say that not only it's a very selfish think about it for a second, it's a very selfish thing. You're saying my pain means more to me than, and to get rid of that pain means more to me than what joy I bring to other people who love me, who are around me. That's what I can't get out of my head. And again, I'm open to being wrong about it and to having a shitty opinion about it. But I just look at it from a very, I look at it from not an egotistical standpoint. I look at suicide from just the opposite. I mean, not everything in life is going to make you happy. Not everything is going to make you, there are moments in life that make you happy. You can't be, see, that's the problem with alcoholics and drug addicts, is that they are constantly looking for some kind of high. And I don't know what it's like to be, famous and to what kind of high or endorphins that kind of rushes into your brain when you make a movie or you're on stage, or I'm sure that has to play into it. It's got to fuck with you on some level. I don't know. I just look at Robin Williams and I think, wow, if Robin Williams couldn't make himself happy, who the fuck can? The guy seemingly had it all. I get that we're all humans, but hey, still. So here, and two, I would like to reiterate that I do think that someone like that killing themselves almost glorifies suicide. We have people all over this country, all over the world for that matter, who have killed themselves because they're gay and somebody made fun of them. And that started this whole anti-bullying campaign horse crap. Anti-bullying. You hear about it every 5 minutes in the news. And those people who you would assume are extremely fragile hear that Robin Williams hung himself with a friggin' belt and cut his arm all up and went nuts. Well, what do these people think? Bad move. Here's Conan O'Brien while he was filming his show, finding out the news.
This is unusual and upsetting, but we got some news. We got some news during the show that Robin Williams has passed away, and we're absolutely stunned to get this news. And I know that everybody here, we've all worked with Robin over the years.
And he was an amazingly kind and generous person, and it's got to be a terrible time for his family, and our thoughts go out to them.
And as funny as he was, he's truly one of the all-time greats. He was even better as a person. He was even more fantastic he's just the loveliest, sweetest, one of the kindest guys that I've ever worked with. Such a soft, warm, emotionally sweet guy, and it's a major loss for everybody. It's, like Andy said, our hearts go out to his family, and it's a terrible loss.
There's not, we're just processing this information literally right at this, at this moment, and we're thinking of Robin's family. We're thinking about everybody who he touched around the world throughout his life, and we're thinking about Robin tonight.
All right, it's the Kramer Show on kramershow.net, and hey, Boz, roll some hold music again. It's cream soda time for Big Daddy, all right? It's feeding time. This is so good. God damn it, that's good.
Kramer, the king of content. If it's worth talking about, he's talking about it. This is The Kramer Show on kramershow.net.
All right, I have to talk about these fucking retards looting, stealing, and burning stuff down in Ferguson.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! Now! What do we want? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
No justice, no peace. So, Michael Brown, 6'4", 291 pounds, gets into a confrontation with a police officer that none of us know what happened. None of us know. No one knows. No one knows what happened. All we know is that something went down. He wound up dead. So now you've got thousands of people in Ferguson, Missouri that are looting, protesting, burning businesses down, stealing shit from people in their neighborhoods, businesses that their own people have had for years. I don't know what that does. Like, what does that do? So today marks the 8th day of this horse shit going on in Ferguson. The 8th day. And nothing has been resolved. These people still in the streets, looting, stealing, setting fires, throwing Molotov cocktails. On day 6 of this looting and burning and Molotov cocktail throwing, the state of Missouri issues a statement saying that they're going to pull the police force. Oh, you mean you're just going to pull the police force because these people feel like the cops hate them because they're black and they want to go out and riot, steal, rob, maim, and throw fire at people? So doesn't it make sense? Yeah, let's pull the police force because it shows. They said that, well, all this is showing is that there is some type of militarization going on the street, and that sends the wrong message. How does that send the wrong message? Since when is the wrong message that you should obey the law? Since when is the wrong message to send that if you throw fire at businesses and burn them down, then we are coming for you. When did it become that is a racist message? Oh, well, we can't arrest black people because that sends the wrong message. It sends a message that we're cruel and evil and, that we're uncaring. I don't know what planet I woke up on. I mean, I had this conversation on Facebook with a lot of people, and I said, black people perpetuate racism more in this country than any other race. And I'm a white guy saying that. And if that makes you angry, simply put, I just don't care. If that makes me a racist for saying that, I guess I'm a racist. I mean, someone said, it's not so much about you saying something about black people as it is just that you recognize and you bring up the fact that the people that are doing this are black. That's what makes you racist. How does that make me racist? What is the color of the skin of the people in Ferguson that are doing all of this? What are their skin colors? They're black. Why are they doing it? Because they feel that they are being persecuted for being black. When I see people write signs in St. Louis that said there's the only good cop is a dead cop, when I see signs like that, you're damn right. I think that they're racially motivated. Of course they are. Of course. Reverend Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, now Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump is the lawyer for the parents of Michael Brown. He's the lawyer who represented Trayvon Martin's parents. Every time one of these guys opens their mouths, they're perpetuating racism. They wouldn't have jobs. They wouldn't have the Rainbow Coalition. They wouldn't have anything if they weren't perpetuating racism. Yet people buy into that bullshit, and the only thing that it does is make them angrier. Thus, they go out after being angry, wrapping themselves in ninja outfits, burning down businesses, looting, stealing, conniving. And I don't even think most of these people, 90% of them, I don't think they even really give a shit about Michael Brown, know Michael Brown, know anything about the story, haven't read a fucking thing about it, and are using this as an excuse to go out and rob and throw Molotov cocktails. No justice, no peace. My ass, no justice, no peace. Bullshit.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Justice! When do we want it? Now!
No justice, no peace. Well, what about the justice for the little Asian guy who was in the convenience store when Michael Brown, 6'9", 291 pounds, came in and almost kicked his ass and stole a $50 box of cigars? Where is the justice for that man? And where is the interview with that man on CNN? Where is that little guy? I want to get him on the show. I want to talk to him. I want to get his words. I want to, because they released that video of Michael Brown busting up in this Quick Trip or whatever the hell it is, and they show he's pushing this little Asian guy around, steals the box of cigars, and basically walks out. 12 minutes later, he was shot and dead. Oh, well, I wonder what happened. Here's what happened, okay? Michael Brown walks out of the store after stealing those cigars, is walking down the street, in the middle of the street, and a police officer shows up. Michael Brown thinks that the police officer is after him for the $50 box of cigars, probably cops an attitude, and when confronting the police officer, he probably called him a bunch of names, thinking that he was in trouble. And then that escalated, and then Michael Brown was shot. That's probably what happened. No justice, no peace. I got a piece for you. Here is Michael Brown's parents being interviewed by Don Lemon, the worst. Here's Don Lemon on CNN with the parents.
How are you dealing with this right now?
the best that I can.
Yeah. Your son Michael had just graduated from high school, was set to start college today. Tell us about him and what kind of a young man he was.
He was a saint.
Well, you know, he was my firstborn. Sweet, loving, dedicated. He worked hard.
Like cigars,
to get
though.
through high school, and we were so proud of him. And for him to start a new journey going to college, we was even more proud of him. And he was just spending the summer at his grandmother's house. Never did we think we'd be planning a funeral. We was waiting on his first day of school. And they robbed us of that. They took one of my best friends.
You were close.
That's my son. First child I ever had.
Just spending the summer with Granny. Little innocent.
It's hard to convey a parent's agony, especially a mother's agony, for losing a child. And I thought what you said was so profound about getting him to stay in school, getting him to go to college, graduate high school and go to college, which has been a challenge. It's difficult for many African American boys. Why'd you feel the need to say that?
Because it was the truth. It was the truth. And I needed them to know that people may do things and it becomes repetitive in a certain race, but we don't live like that. Not our family. We feel like we can do anything and go anywhere. We're just not subject to living in the city. And like I said, just because my son is a 6'4" black male walking down a city street does not mean he fit the profile for anything other than just walking down that street. That's all he was doing.
That's all he was doing. I mean, he was an innocent little boy. He was just spending the summer with his grandmother, and he was such a sweet little boy. In fact, I remember one time, just last year, he rescued a rabbit from a kitten's mouth. The cat had yanked up the rabbit, and he was about to rip its head off and give it to the owners as a little gift. But Michael Brown, my little baby boy who was visiting grandmommy, swept in and got the rabbit and nursed it back to health with his nipples. That's right. He was such a sweet, kind, loving human being that he took his shirt off and he allowed the rabbit to suckle his nipples, and the rabbit drank Michael Brown's nipple juice and became healthy again. It was amazing. And Michael Brown was near God. He was near the baby Jesus. He would never do anything. Wait a minute. What is that? What is that? That's video of Michael Brown stealing cigars? No. That's bullshit. Okay? Now you've made me angry. All right? That Michael Brown would not steal cigars. He would not shove a little Asian man around at a Quick Trip. He would not do that. He's a good, kind, loving human being. And that you photoshopped that makes me angry. And now I'm going to build a Molotov cocktail and I'm going to throw it at all the police officers, okay? You can take your little bullshit photoshopped video that you demons have made against our little puddin' pop Michael Brown. Everyone knows it's a conspiracy, that they hate us. So now the police have somehow photoshopped video of Michael Brown stealing cigars. Amazing. 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 I'll say it again. Amazing. All right. I know I'm an asshole. I can't help it. I just, All right, Don Lemon asking the father how he's dealing with this.
And you, how are you dealing with this?
It's hard. He was my best friend too. It's hard. Not seeing him. Not talking to him on the phone. Him cracking jokes. Him just playing around being him, you know. Cause I understood him, you know. It was just a bond we had, you know. I'ma miss all this, but I got memories in my head that will never go away. Good time.
Let me clarify. I'm not saying that Michael Brown deserved to die. Even if he stole the cigars, just because he stole the cigars doesn't mean that he should have his life taken away. What I'm trying to say here is that we don't know exactly what happened between the time he walked out of that Quick Trip to the time he died. We don't know that. I don't know it. You don't know it. And the people that are looting down there don't know what happened. And I can only imagine the grief that a parent has when their son is shot and killed in a situation like that. And just because your kid is a little shit turd doesn't mean that you don't love them. So don't misconstrue my cynicism here for being cold-hearted, because I'm not cold-hearted. I'm just saying that there's always another side to every story. You know, and in my opinion, Ferguson waited way too long to put that video out of Michael Brown stealing those cigars. Some people are saying that they should never have put it out, that it paints him in a bad light. Well, no, it's not that video paints him in a bad light. It's that what he did in that video paints him in a bad light. Michael Brown painted himself in a bad light by going in there and roughing the guy up and strong-arming him and taking those cigars. Again, I for those of you who aren't regular listeners and you're just now tuning in, by the way, I guess I need to stop for a second and say this. I will tell you, thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you so very much. And by the way, as you can tell, this is what I do for a living. I mean, this is what makes me happy, and I adore broadcasting and communicating. And I'm hoping that what we're doing here, I will be able to somehow make a living doing this online. I would love it. And if you can tell that I have a passion for what I do, which is radio, podcasting, broadcasting, communicating, please pledge on patreon.com to keep this going. And the more you guys pledge, hey, trust me, the more you pledge, the more I will be doing these shows. And if you don't keep me busy, I will lose my mind. More on that coming in a second. Where was I? I completely forgot. I completely forgot where I was. Where the fuck? What was I talking about? Michael Brown. For those of you who are not regular listeners, I preach all the time about messages. And one of the messages that I think this country has sent the wrong message to are the illegal immigrants. And that's why we are where we are with the illegal immigrants, is that we have sent the message that it's okay for them to come here, and that it's okay for them to come across illegally our borders and, have our health care and everything else. What is really important with a police department and with a city like Ferguson is that they send the right messages. And the state of Missouri, by pulling the cops, sent the wrong message. I don't think it was this is just me, and you can disagree on Facebook and on Twitter if you want, but I don't think having those guys, the police down there in those uniforms with tear gas, I don't necessarily think that was the wrong message. I think their actions after all of it got cranked up may have been misguided. But having a police force is pretty damn key. When you have looting and arsonists and everything else, and you have all these crazy people running around, it might behoove you, to have some kind of police presence. Video of Michael Brown finally released.
Breaking news. Photographs coming from the police report have been released. Look at these. Allegedly, they show teenager Michael Brown threatening a store clerk over a pack of cheap cigars. This would have been just before officers got a 911 call about a robbery there. Here are the facts. Brown was 6'4", about 290 pounds. Again, there was a description for someone about that size wearing a red ball cap. Police today also naming Officer Darren Wilson, a 6-year veteran of the police force, as the officer who responded to that call. Our Mike Tobin is live in Ferguson, Missouri with the very latest. Mike, bring us up to speed.
And Harris, keep in mind the information released goes beyond saying that, whoops, we've got an earpiece problem. Keep in mind the information that was released goes beyond saying that Michael Brown fit the description of someone involved in that strong armed robbery. The information released, according to those incidents reports, Michael Brown was the suspect in that strong armed robbery, and that is complemented by pictures released with video surveillance that shows Michael Brown standing over this convenience store owner. Considerably, roughing him up a bit. And by roughing him up a bit, I mean he shoved him out of the way. And this was all in the process of stealing a pack of cigars, or a few packs of cigars, Swisher Sweet cigars, the total value less than $50. It's also interesting to note that with these incident reports, an individual named Johnson was named. If you remember, one of the star witnesses thus far who said that Michael Brown was just minding his own business when he was gunned down in cold blood, his last name is Johnson. So what we've seen here is an identification of Michael Brown as a suspect, motivation for why he was stopped, and a change of the narrative from the idea that Michael Brown was just minding his own business when he was gunned down in cold blood. Also, the development we have today, as you mentioned, is the name of that officer, Darren Wilson, 6-year veteran of the force with no disciplinary problems in his past, according to chief when he gave that description.
So there you go. Darren Williams, named as the police officer who shot Michael Brown. Darren Williams with the police department for 6 years. Now is people have said, well, why did they not give the name sooner? Well, do you think that would be a smart idea? I mean, do you really think it would be a smart idea to give the name of the person involved in this shooting where everybody thinks that the cop who did it shot this man in cold blood? The same people that are out there looting, the same people that are out there setting businesses on fire, the same people that don't give a rat's ass about our laws? You mean you think it would be a good idea to tell those people his name, and then they find out where he lives, and then they go and murder him in cold blood, which is what would happen had he not left? I mean, it's just people they're dying to be angry. They're dying to be angry. Okay, I gotta go. This is the first show in the books, and thank you so much for listening to this thing, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And again, the more that we have pledged, the more money that we have pledged to keep this going, the more shows I will do. And nothing would make me happier than to make enough money so that I'm doing this every single day. I live for it. Thank you to Boz. Thank you to the members of kramersforum.com. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your patronage. I appreciate it. God bless you, and I love you all.
A podcast that doesn't suck. Finally. The Kramer Show on kramershow.net.